Hi there, my name is Shannon, and this is my daughter's scientific calculator. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you how one button on this calculator is the secret to growing your website sales 30 to 300% or more without changing website content or the traffic you run to it. And if you watch until the end of this video, I'm going to show you a new way to get 5x to 10x return on your marketing costs. This video is for anyone who's struggling to scale profits of your website, e-com store, or sales funnel. Right now, you may be feeling scared or overwhelmed with all the changes that have happened recently with Facebook ads. And if you're anything like me, you may feel like Google, Facebook, and Instagram are slowly squeezing the life out of your business between their constant CPM cost increases and constant changes in policy. I can relate. I'm a lot like you. I had the same problems you do. And we have seen over the years so many people who are in the spot of having a successful campaign or online business only to have profits slowly clawed away from them by rising ad costs. Or you may have a profitable campaign that's hit the wall because every time you try to scale it further, it seems like your profit gets eaten away. Listen, it's not your fault. Ad platforms like Facebook and Google are built to do one thing, and that's extract as much money from your advertising bank account as physically possible. It is true that it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. Now, let me share my story with you. In 2016, my company was doing lead generation campaigns, which created over 1,000 leads every day. Now, 1,000 leads per day may sound like a lot or a little to you, but I was stressed out. Stressed out because our margins were razor thin, and one bad day we would go from making thousands in profit to losing even more thousands in losses. I was a nervous wreck. I couldn't sleep at night from the anxiety of everything that could go wrong. I was living on caffeine and other stimulants, and my health was starting to suffer. I was so stressed out. I remember even thinking that I might just be happier in life to hit the road and become a truck driver. At least those guys could pull off the road and be off the job. For me, it seemed like I could never be off the job. I was always checking stats, monitoring margins, hoping and praying nothing would go wrong. But then I discovered a way out that I'd like to share with you today. The best part is, it's a way out that any website or e-com store owner can follow. The real problem you have as a website owner is the cost of traffic, and more specifically, the cost of traffic from the major ad platforms such as Facebook and Google. You see, they know they hold all the cards, and there's little you or I can do about it. They created these marketplaces that force you to compete with not just businesses like yours, but businesses that are much bigger and better funded than yours or mine could ever be. They want to force you to compete with unfair competition. And why? Because the more people like you they find to try to compete with their largest advertisers, the more they can justify increasing the CPMs for everyone else. It's kind of sickening when you think about it like that, right? We are just a pawn to them in this high stakes bidding war that they orchestrated. Can you blame them though? This game may not be fair and it may not be our fault, but we still have to find a way to win. And how can we do that? That's the question I found myself asking over and over as I laid awake every night. And luckily, I eventually found the answer in something called the 3x9 formula. This formula, when applied correctly, not only can it increase your sales 30 to 300% or more immediately and solve your current scaling problems, it has an important side effect of solving many campaign problems over the long term. So now you and I can sleep better tonight and every night. The 3x9 formula can build your business so that you know you can weather changes in Facebook policy, increase CPM rates, increase costs of shipping and fulfillment, or anything else you could lay awake worrying about any night of the week. All of these worries can go poof overnight when you understand this formula and its power. So what is the 3x9 formula? Well, remember at the beginning of this presentation, I showed you a picture of my daughter's scientific calculator. Well, there's one button on that calculator that can change everything today. It's the same button that has made people like Buffett, Gates, and Bezos as wildly successful as they are. And this is the button. It's the button that you use to calculate compound interest, but it's also the same button you use to calculate the compound conversion rate of your website. The 3x9 formula predicts that in order to increase the sales of your website by 30%, you only need to find 9 things which increase the sales by 3%. Because 1.03 times 1.03 9 times actually equals 1.305. So you've only increased 9 times, but you were able to achieve a 30% effect. You see that each increase in sales has a compounding effect. And instead of needing to find 10 ways to increase your sales 3% to get a total increase of 30%, you only have to find 9 ways. Now, this is as close to free lunch as it gets in business. Now, look, of course, you can find more than 9 ways to increase your website sales. And you can probably find ways to increase your sales more than 3% at a time. And some of our clients have taken this to extremes and created over 300% increases in sales. Now, the further you expand the 3x9 formula, the better it gets. But how come? Well, part of the beauty of this formula is that the more elements you add beyond 9, the more difficult it becomes for your competitors to copy what you're doing. Now, they may pick up on 1 or 2 things that you're doing differently, but their chances of picking up on everything you're doing differently is incredibly slim. In fact, our client who surpassed 300% increase in sales with this formula is now the only company left in their particular niche. Nobody else can afford to spend as much per click for advertising as they can now. This is the kind of advantage your business needs if you want to be able to sleep well at night, knowing that you'll always come out ahead. Now, remember at the beginning of this video where I said you could increase sales 30 to 300% or more without changing your website content or the traffic you run to it? Well, let's expand on this for a minute and talk about some tips that can allow you to do this. So let's get started right now putting the 3x9 formula to work without changing anything about your website content or the traffic that you run to it. So tip number 1, stop asking for city and state on your lead capture or order form. This mistake gets made over and over and repeated all the time, so much so that it's become my number 1 pet peeve. And I see big companies make this mistake as well as small companies. All you have to ask for is a person's zip code, and you can look up their city and state from a database. This cuts 2 steps from your sign-up process, and in our experience, it's usually good for an increase of 3% or better in your sales. 3x9, baby. You can even take this tip to the next level by predicting your user's zip code based on their IP address. Then your user may not even have to enter their zip code, which saves them one more step in your sign-up process. But wait a minute though, what if you're using Shopify or some other platform where you can't control the fields on the order form? Well, in a minute, you'll see there's actually a simple solution to this as well. Tip number 2, turn off HTTPS on the pages you drive traffic to whenever possible. HTTPS slows down your website by nearly 500 milliseconds on medium speed connections. Now, Amazon published a study which found that for every 100 milliseconds of delay in website load time, they lost 1% in sales. Now, we've tested this ourselves and found in fact, in some cases, it's even worse than 1% loss in sales. So that means turning off HTTPS can result in a 5% or better increase in your sales and leads. 3x9 formula, baby. Note, it's not advisable or even permitted by Google to have HTTPS disabled on your website. They won't let you run ads without it. However, Facebook is still okay with non-HTTPS links at the time of this writing. And there is a way to keep HTTPS on for Google's sake, yet still allow non-HTTPS links for your Facebook traffic. So essentially, if you're running Facebook traffic, you can take advantage of this loophole. Now, more on how to take advantage of that little hack in just a minute. So tip number 3, turn off or delete unused tracking or scripting on your websites. 9 out of 10 websites we audit have useless scripts running, which only is slowing the site down. And many times the site owners don't even realize all of the scripts that are running on their site and how much it's costing them in sales. This tip is usually good for another 1 to 2% in sales, and in some cases it can be more than that. So tip number 4, if you're using a CDN or content distribution network, turn it off immediately. Unless you have some enormous amount of users and traffic like Twitter does or some other gigantic website, you probably don't need a CDN. In fact, on all of the sites we've tested, using a CDN has actually increased load times and decreased sales. Now, this is due, at least in part, to the user's web browser being required to find the IP address of the CDN's content before it retrieves the actual content. There's a lookup that actually has to happen there. And when you host the content on your own server and domain, this additional IP address lookup is not required. So by removing the use of CDNs, we've measured increases in sales of 1 to 2% in some cases. These increases just keep stacking up. 3x9 formula. So tip number 5, resize your content so your sign up or order form is above the fold on mobile devices. This one is another pet peeve. Now, it is true that you may not be able to get all of your form above the fold on every possible device. However, all too often we've seen that with a few minor changes, a website can become much more usable for your visitors. Tip number 6, fire your freelance web developer and hire a real technical professional. Now, many times our clients come to us sacrificing sales and profits simply because one or more of their marketing platforms doesn't do everything they need or want it to do. Those 2 or 3 things that you wish Shopify or ClickFunnels or some other platform could do actually can be done in most cases when you have the right technical partner. The technical help you need, who can understand and solve problems at the level you need, are not hanging out on Fiverr or Upwork waiting for a freelance job. In fact, the technical personnel we typically interface with our own clients' teams, more often than not, they're vastly underskilled for the role that they're in. And it's costing these businesses tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in lost sales. And the worst part about it is most business owners and CEOs don't even know that this problem exists. They believe everything their tech person tells them because they really have no other choice. Think about it. What other mission critical part of your business do you rely on the knowledge of one person for other than your technology? One misplaced semicolon in a line of code can take down an entire business. We've seen it happen. And likewise, just one missing feature on a platform like Shopify alone can mean 10% or more of your sales getting missed. So let me share an example with you. We had a client who came to us to speed up their website. This particular website was built using ClickFunnels, and the client had been told by their now fired tech guy that there was nothing they could do about the speed of ClickFunnels. Their tech guy was outsourced from the overseas. Now, not only was he completely wrong, and not only did the client have no idea he was completely wrong, nobody except us knew that they were losing at least 30% in sales simply because they believed there was no way to speed up ClickFunnels. Well, the truth is you can speed up ClickFunnels. Their tech guy just didn't know how to do it. But the story doesn't end there. Not only was this tech guy costing them 30% in sales from this single issue, he was costing them even more on one of their e-com sites that was hosted on Shopify. What they really wanted to do on Shopify was one-click product upsells like they could do on ClickFunnels. Now, unfortunately, Shopify doesn't support this feature out of the box. So guess what their tech guy said about this desired feature? Can't be done. Shopify doesn't allow it. Did I mention that guy got fired? Needless to say, we found a solution, we solved the problem, and they are now probably one of the very few Shopify stores that has the ability to do one-click upsells in their shopping cart through Shopify. Now guess how much this one thing increased our clients' sales. Now I'll leave it to you to guess, but they got well over 100x return on what it cost them to have us solve the problem. Okay, that was a lot to cover, and I know that you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed or confused, and that's okay. You really have two choices here. Choice one, take the information in this presentation and try to give it a go alone. If you want to go out in a hiring search for a world-class freelance tech guy or in-house personnel who know everything there is to be known about optimizing your advertising technology and have them test the hundreds of technical aspects that affect conversion rate of your websites, it'll probably take them hundreds of thousands of visitors to run their tests, and you're likely to lose sales in the meantime. And if their learning curve is anything remotely close to what ours was, it'll take them at least 2 years to complete these tests. However, if you're lucky, whoever you hire will stick around long enough to see all of that through. But who knows? You may see some success if you took really careful notes, or you get really lucky with who you hire. Or you can skip all that and let us do the work for you. And you know what? We already have. We call this service Scale Blocks. Put simply, Scale Blocks can increase the sales of your website, store, or funnel by 30 to 300% without changing anything about your content, the ads you run, or the traffic your website gets. It works even if your campaigns are only at break even. It works if your competition is fierce. It works if you've been told that your website is optimized. It works if you've been told that what you want to do can't be done on some of the platforms you use. It works if you want to fire your tech guy, but you don't think you can. I must warn you though, Scale Blocks is not for everyone. If you believe your tech team has done everything possible to increase your sales and that there is nothing else that can be done for you, then this is not for you. If you think that a $20 per hour freelance tech guy is good enough to build your business past 7 figures and on to 9 figures, this is not for you. If you don't believe or at least suspect you're losing sales right now due to gaps in your own technology, then this is not for you. And if you're looking for something cheap or a quick fix to your technical needs, this is also not something for you. You see, after studying some of the most successful people, I noticed a pattern. And the pattern is quite simple. They partner with people who are far better than they are in critical aspects of their business. Think Steve Jobs and Woz. Think Andrew Carnegie and his board of advisors, which led to the term mastermind being created. People of this level of success rely heavily on the profound expertise of others who are best of the best in their areas of specialty. If they owned an e-commerce website, you can bet they would have put the best technical personnel in the world behind squeezing every last sale out of it. But wait, Steve Jobs already did that, and that e-commerce store is now part of the wealthiest company in the world, and we all know who that company is. So if you're content to let that extra 30 to 300% of your sales keep slipping away due to less than world-class technical help, again, Scalebox is probably not for you. However, if this presentation has struck a chord with you, and you suspect you may be missing out on a big chunk of sales and profits due to gaps in your technology, and you spend more than $50,000 per month every month on paid traffic, and you're not some looky-loo who wants a cheap, easy, and yet world-class solution, then Scaleblocks might be a fit for you. There's only one way to find out. Follow the link in the description below this video and fill out a short questionnaire. If your business qualifies, we will provide you with a complimentary website audit that will accurately show just how much sales and profits you're missing right now and what can be done about it. So go ahead, follow that link, fill out the questionnaire, and hopefully We will speak to you real soon. Bye for now.